the breaking news, the attack, Israeli attack on South Pars, and this is a refinery. They call it Asaluya refinery, and they have attacked the various phases: the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. And Axis reported that they coordinated the attack with the United States before, before doing this. And what are we heading with the conflict, with the war that is happening, as somehow escalating beyond? Because it's not just about oil refineries. We can see desalination plants. We can see all of these, one of the most important infrastructures for the human being, for the survival, not just for living. Well, how do you see the war escalating?
The Iranians, first of all, we have to understand that they've been very open about what the consequences of actions will be. And so far, they haven't bluffed. This is a death sentence for Saudi Arabian oil, for United Arab Emirate oil, Kuwaiti oil, Bahraini oil. Any nation that played a role in this, and you can say it was an Israeli attack, but it was, as you say, coordinated with the United States. The United States is at a minimum culpable and complicit. So all the Gulf Arab nations that did this are going to pay an extraordinary price. Now, maybe the Iranians will make an example of one, then tell the rest to, you guys got to get this to stop, or else we're taking everything out. We're not doing it. The next attack, we take everything out. But this one, Saudi Arabia, I'm sorry, you lied to us. You let American airplanes in here. They need to erase Saudi Arabian energy manufacturing. If they don't, then their energy is now going to be erased. And that's the goal of Israel. Because, what's happened, the reason why this decision was made is that this is proof positive that both Israel and the United States now know that regime change is impossible, that the Iranian government is going to last this conflict. And so what they're doing right now is ensuring that the Iranian government, what they govern, is going to be poverty stricken. So they're seeking to do permanent, long-lasting damage to Iran's ability to produce gas and oil and energy and achieve income derived thereof. And Iran has said that we're not going to be the only nation that goes down this way. So I think this is the beginning of one of the biggest mistakes made. But again, now what we've seen is Israel is creating the conditions for global catastrophe. I mean, when is the world going to realize that the biggest single threat to the entire world is Israel? Israel just did something because they're such a pathetic nation. They did something that's going to have ramifications globally. China will be impacted by this. India will be impacted by this, because it's not Iranian energy that's being attacked. It's going to be regional energy. It's all related. So this is a very bad development, very dangerous development, very disturbing development.
Iran has issued an urgent warning to Saudi Arabia, to UAE, and various points, Jubail, they call it Jubail complex, they call it Samref refinery, and in the UAE, Al Hassan gas field. And together with Qatar there is a Mesaid complex that they call it, and it is affiliated to the Chevron. And 2 places in Qatar, 2 places in Saudi Arabia, 1 in the UAE. And they said that they're gonna hit, and anybody who's living, nearby should leave the region.
They should. I mean, this is consequences, cause and effect relationship. And I'm actually glad Iran is going to do this, and I hope they hit them hard. I hope that when they finish, this isn't just a token. We're blowing up a few things so we get nice photographs of flames. They need to terminate the energy production capacity at all these facilities, because then what they need to say is, this is what we're going to do to everything if this happens to again. This isn't, tit for tat. You don't get to take out one of our fields and we take out one of yours. We're taking the whole damn system down. And they need to prove that now. Maximum damage done to these facilities, take them off the face of the earth. And because that's the only way you're going to wake people up. That's the only way. My gas went from $3.11 2 Mondays ago to $3.79 today. And it's going to be it's going to be, I bet you it's $3.85 before the day is over. I remember last time I went through one of these, I would go in and watch the gas station change the price throughout the day because that's just the way it is. This is the only way you're going to wake American people up, European people, the people of the world up, is by hitting their pocketbook, because they don't care about Iranians. Nobody cares for the fact that to kill Ali Larijani and his son, they took out an entire city block. That's a war crime. It is the literal definition of war crime. This is what the Nazis did. And yet they did it, and we're bragging about it, saying, yeah, it's a good thing. Nobody cares. So you're not going to impress. Hell, we bombed a school, double tapped a school, killed 175 girls. Nobody cares. That's how disgusting we are as human beings. We only care about ourselves. Okay, Iran, now it's time to hit the buttons to make us care about ourselves. Bring the pain home. You clearly didn't get to our hearts because we have hearts of stone. No tears shed for those girls, no tears shed for the 100 people that died, so you could say you killed Ali Larijani, not recognizing that killing him doesn't change a damn thing, that the institution still exists. There are people to replace him, and he just goes down as a martyr, motivating the people who replaced him. Take out the oil fields. It's time for Iran to put the pedal to the metal and take the damn oil fields out. The other thing I would do if I were Iran is I would tell the nations that were getting tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, no more tankers. We're complete shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz. We're bringing the pain. And it's time to bring the pain. And if India goes, "What? We didn't do anything," you say, "Yes, India, you did. You didn't do a damn thing. You didn't do anything to stop this. You still have good relations. You're still talking to Israel like they're your brothers. They're not. They're the people that are murdering us every day of the week, and you want us to do business with you?" It's time for Iran to play that card. And they need to tell the Russians and the Chinese it's time for the Russians and Chinese to step up their game too, because this is going to have a dire impact, especially on China. China's looking at their future right now. There's going to be a big old hiccup right now, because even if they start buying energy from Russia, you don't have the ability, you don't have the throughput capacity to get all that energy there. China, so and Iran has to say, "Sorry, brother, I know we're sort of hurting you, but hey, Pete Hegseth says there's 1,000 places in Iran that go boom a day. What are you doing to stop that?" Nothing. So you need to do more. Otherwise, as we go down, so do you. But they need to bring the pain. The other thing, by shutting the Strait of Hormuz, it ends once and for all the notion that the United States, right now, by the limited traffic, you have the United States claiming that it's because of them. We did this. We're the ones that sat there and made the Iranians say, we might as well let some traffic through because America's right there threatening us. No. What Iran did is prove that they're in control. Only Iran decides what gets through the Strait of Hormuz. And right now, the Iranians need to decide that nothing gets through the Strait of Hormuz. Nothing.
Scott, Saudi Arabia and all these Arab states are in some sort of panic. Saudi Arabia, will host a foreign ministers meeting in Riyadh today. And the Turkish diplomat reported on that they're going to have Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Pakistan, Qatar, Syria, and Turkey all together coming in Saudi Arabia and the UAE. We know that Azerbaijan is so much important for Israel. I don't know if Iran would do something in that direction, or all these countries coming together would make some sort of move in that direction. And how do you see all the capabilities of these countries?
To do what? I mean, the thing is, as Saudi Arabia hosts this meeting, they're going to lose an oil field. How's that feel, Saudi Arabia? And as the UAE sends their representative, they're going to lose an oil field. And Qatar is going to lose a natural gas field. This is the reality. So what are they going to do? Come together and tell what? We're going to threaten Iran? Hey, dude, they're already losing 1,000 points on the map a day, getting blown up by America. You're going to bring in your pathetically small military and make it 1,020? You think the additional 20 targets you can hit a day is going to change what's going on? I mean, this is the pathetic reality of these Arab nations. They have sold their souls to the devil. They have sold their soul to the devil. The United States and Israel calling the shots. And now they're going to come together to do what? If they don't come together and say the one thing that has to be said, America, get the out of our neighborhood. Get out. You're done. We're done with you. You lied to us. You betrayed us. You set us up. All this is because of you. And Israel, stop. Or see everybody here? Count the bodies. Count the airplanes. We'll come in and we'll erase you from the planet. It's time for nations to step up and just tell Israel, remind them how small they are and how pathetic they are and how inconsequential they are. Israel right now is shooting its load into Iran, and they're blowing up some places on the ground, but they're not changing anything. The missiles still come in and hit Israel on a daily basis. Hezbollah is slaughtering Israeli troops in southern Lebanon. I mean, go ahead, Israel, mobilize 450,000. They'll all die too. Hezbollah is better at this business than you are. You're on their turf, and they will slaughter you. And you don't want to fight. That's the other thing, is the Israelis don't believe in this mission anymore. They only believe in it when it's pain-free. It ain't pain-free anymore. There's a lot of pain attached to this. So they need to put the pressure on the right places. They need to put the pressure on the United States and on Israel. If they try to put any pressure on Iran, what does Iran care? I mean, what are you going to do? Kill the next Larzani? Kill the president? I'm sure the president cares. I don't think he wants to die, but Iran could care less. They have institutions. This is about it. You're fighting a nation. You're not fighting individuals. And so, and as opposed to the majority of those people gathering, those are families. Those are monarchies. They're not nations. Most of the people gathering there are the heads of, families that run countries, but they're not part of the nation. The nation didn't vote for them. And these are corrupt individuals who have, robbed their own people blind to enrich themselves. And so when they come together to speak, they're not speaking on behalf of the people. They're speaking on behalf of their own selfish interests. There's only a few nations where you could actually say, Erdogan, I think, speaks for the Turkish nation. Jolani, what does he speak for? Who's they going to send? Another head chopper? Again, none of the Gulf Arab states are democratic. None of them. They're all these autocratic, corrupt, morally corrupt, and economically corrupt individuals who the world would be better off if they didn't exist. And maybe that'll be one of the consequences of this war, is the erasure of these corrupt families that were put in place by the British. None of them earned this. They didn't come in and, these aren't people that came in and went, hello, we've discovered this great country and we're going to lead by being intellectually sound and morally correct, and we're going to build things. They came in and chopped heads off, and one day a camel went out and pissed in the desert and some oil came up. They went, that's not very good tasting. Why don't we hire a foreigner who's smart? And in comes the British and the Americans, say, that's oil. Well, what do we need to do? Not a damn thing. You just sit back there on your camel in your tent, smoke your pipe, and we will bring the oil out of the ground and we'll throw some money your way and then we'll take it. And that's how it got developed. These guys didn't do anything. They didn't do anything except chop off some heads. Other people developed the industry. Now they've inherited it and they have this structure in place where they make all the money. Ask the UAE, though, what's the percentage of Emirati people in their military? 15%. 85% of the UAE military is mercenaries, mainly Pakistani. They don't know how to fight. When they build a building, are the Emirati men out there rolling up their sleeves, getting sunburn, constructing? Hell no. They're in an air-conditioned office, fat, smoking dope, and spending oil money. Other people come in and do the work for them. These aren't good people. These aren't good nations. They don't stand for anything worthwhile. They hide behind a facade of intellectualism. We've built the new Louvre in the Middle East. The UAE built that Louvre lookalike. What's going to happen when all your oil fields are blown up and you got no more money and nobody's coming to your stupid piece of desert patch? You have no water because the desalination plants are going to be blown up, and that building's going to be empty. Nobody's going to visit. Was it the Burj or whatever? The one that Tom Cruise jumped off of or climbed, that'll be empty. Making those little palm islands so you can see from the sky, look down on it. That will be eroded away because nobody will be maintaining it. And that'll happen to all of these little fake little desert countries, because when they lose their energy, they lose everything. They've got nothing. Dubai had a banking industry. That's gone. Think the expatriates are going to hang out in Dubai from now on? That has been exposed the way it is? No. They need stability, long-term stability. And these Gulf Arab nations can no longer guarantee long-term stability. And so it's over for them. This is a panic meeting that you're going to be seeing in Riyadh right now, a panic meeting.
Scott, you mentioned the desalination. Do you think that we are headed toward desalination plants? Because that could be a huge catastrophe for the whole region. And Iran doesn't suffer from desalination if that goes, the escalation goes in that direction. But we know that the Arab states, together with Israel is dependent more than 75% on desalination plants.
That's one of the last steps, because now you're talking about the erasure of a nation. Without water, you've got nothing. And there is no plan B for water. There is no plan B for water. And so that's the next step. And I believe at the end of the day, if these nations don't stop doing what they're doing to Iran, Iran will erase them as civilized nations by destroying their desalination plants. If I were the Iranians, I would actually take out Israeli desalination plants now, right now. End Israel right now. Just end it. Just take it out, end it. Israel might have a plan B. They might be able to ship in water, because Europe, no one's going to let the Jews die. So they're going to ship in water and all that. Fine, but that'll be their life from now on. Foreign sources of water, tankers pointing off, Israeli people, lining up to get, like Gazans, to pump water into their pot to take home, and and all that. Good. Make that Israel's future. No more running water in pipes. Blow up the desalination plants and eliminate it. And Hezbollah, go ahead and take Shabbat farms and shut off the Jordan River source. Cut it out. End it. Make the Dead Sea dead. Make Israel over. Israel needs to cease to exist. It is literally the cancer on the planet. And Iran could do that by blowing up desalination plants. I think they might want to give the Gulf Arab states another shot. But at some point in time, you at least pick one. I'd pick the UAE because I just hate them. Erase them. Blow up all their desalination plants and make the country disappear. All the expatriates will leave. All the foreigners will leave, and then those UAE Bedouins, they'll have to sit there and do what? Do what? Drink oil? Good luck. They deserve it. And this is hopefully what they're talking about in Riyadh is we're screwed. We're screwed. We're heading to the apocalypse. And again, when they say they don't care about their people. They only care about themselves. About their family, about the monarchy. I really enjoyed reading about what happened to the Hashemites in Iraq. And I'll let the people Google that to figure out what I mean. But I don't really mean that, because nobody wants to see families hacked up and dragged through the streets. But when you take these families that have no legitimacy whatsoever and you put them in charge and they are this corrupt, maybe they need the Hashemite solution, Baghdad version. Which could become the Hashemite solution, Amman version, which would be nice. And it could be the solution in Bahrain. You really want Khalifa to stay there, this fat nobody? I mean, he is so corrupt, so despicable. The family has been despicable. They were a joke when we were there as weapons inspectors. I could tell you stories that would make your hair curl. Go talk to the Gulf Air stewardesses. All the Gulf Air stewardesses out there who spent time on the Sheik's beach and got recruited to go in and do his little things. You know what I'm talking about, Gulf Air stewardesses, because you did them. Why don't you start telling people what really happened? How despicable these people are. Despicable. And yet they govern, and we treat them like they're some sort of, somebody's. They're nobody. They're stupid. They're ignorant. They're corrupt. And they are morally deficient human beings. And yet they sit there and live and make all this money, and everybody comes rolling up to them and treating them like they're God because they make money. Well, they're not going to make money anymore if Iran erases their energy. And then the world will see these people for what they are. Pathetic losers. I'm fed up because it's they're to blame. People are like, Scott, what do you got against the Gulf Arab nations? Everything. I got everything against you because you're to blame. You caused this. You allowed the United States to come in and create a Sunni Shia split. This isn't Iran's fault. This is your fault. You all bought into it. and you played the game where you allowed the United States military to come in, and then you enriched American defense industry. I mean, look at this straight out bribery. Remember when Donald Trump's first term and he went over and danced a stupid sword dance with the Saudis? Straight up bribery. Said, we're going to buy more American weapons, as if this is what makes a relationship good. Well, Saudi, how are those weapons working right now? How secure are you right now with all those weapons you bought? UAE, how's that missile defense stuff work? I mean, you can put out all your bullshit numbers. 400 missiles were shot at, and we shot down 297 of them. Yeah, but how many of your interceptors did you expend to shoot those down? And how many you got left? And what's going to happen tomorrow when you can't defend your nation because the United States refuses to give you more interceptors because we sent all the ones that were brought out of South Korea to Israel? It is the role played by the Gulf Arab nations in making this possible. They are the ones responsible. This is why I shed no tears for them. I will never cry for Israel. As Israel gets erased off of the planet, I will cheer because Israel is a cancer. But joining the Israelis as cancerous entities are every single royal family in the Gulf Arab region. None of them got there legitimately. They were all put in there by the British and then sustained by the Americans, and they live off of the money they get out of the ground. They didn't earn this. It's a gift given to them. And there are not too many of them that spend this money wisely. Unfortunately for the well-meaning people out there, you pay the price for the corruption of your bosses. Everybody treats MBS as if he's some sort of good. You do know he's a disgusting pig of a human being. There's nothing good about this man. He represents the worst of Saudi Arabian society. The excesses of Saudi Arabia are put into him. There is no moral compass in him. Just ask the family of Khashoggi. MBS had him cut up. That's what he does. And yet we run around, shake his hand. We crawl to him. Joe Biden literally crawled to him. Joe, you should have bombed Saudi Arabia. That's the nation worth bombing, not Iran. You should have turned our guns on Saudi Arabia and eliminated this corrupt regime and replaced it with a democratically elected society that represents the true will of the people, except, man, the Shia might get a vote then. Anyways, I've gone off long enough on these guys.
But when it comes, our common friend Larry Johnson reported the other day that the Israelis are running out of interceptors when it comes to the THAAD system and Patriot system. And we see how Hezbollah is able to hit the targets in Israel. Then at the same time, they're talking about ground invasion of Lebanon and 540,000 soldiers to be used. But when it comes to the capabilities, defensive capabilities of Israel, is that in the calculation? Is that in that equation of Donald Trump together with Israelis? And how is that going to work for Israel?
Well, one of the reasons why Israel felt confident in striking out against Iran at this time is that they had convinced themselves that they had taken Hezbollah off the there was always an understanding from the Israelis that Hezbollah was a loaded pistol to Israel's head. And that if you went after Iran, boom, the pistol goes off. And so they pagered the mid-level of Hezbollah management, blew off a lot of hands, blinded people. They killed Hassan Nasrallah, and they worked with the United States to get the Lebanese government to tone down Hezbollah. They got rid of Syria, which made the lifeline between Hezbollah and Iran problematic. And so Hezbollah went into a quiet mode, like a sleep mode, but don't be lulled. I mean, it's like me looking at this computer. I'm giving a horrible analogy, but I'm making it up as I go along, so it may work in the end. But I've got this computer screen. This screen doesn't do it. I mean, it's a screen. I look at it and I move around my mouse and I think it's the computer, but it's not. It's just a screen. The computer's right here next to it. It does all the thinking. And what happened here is we got everybody to put the screen into sleep mode. And everybody's going, there, we solved the Hezbollah problem. Look at the screen, blank, nothing there. No mouse moving on, no cursor, can't click anything. But the computer's right here. And if you shake the computer, the screen comes back on. Israel believed that they had suppressed Hezbollah, that Hezbollah was weakened, that they could use the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army as a way of containing Hezbollah. I mean, look at what happened when they told, when the Lebanese government, prime minister and the president told the Lebanese army to disarm Hezbollah. What was the response of the Lebanese army? Hell no. We ain't touching that. Because they know the truth. That the screen may be off, but the computer still works. And the computer, when it turns on with a vengeance. And Hezbollah would wipe the Lebanese army off the face of the earth. The Lebanese army is incapable of any meaningful fighting because they're not trained for it. They all look good in their uniforms. I'm sure they do a lot of push-ups because they got some, when they roll up those sleeves, they got some impressive biceps and, they got that little chest torso thing going, tapers down. The Lebanese soldiers look really good in uniform. They really do. They're handsome dudes. Get those berets and the haircut. Hezbollah will kill all of them because Hezbollah are damn good fighters and they're still there. Hezbollah, had to do some certain, what's the word I'm looking for when you do cosmetic? There you go, cosmetic alterations. Withdraw a little bit from the south, but all the tunnels are still there. Israel blew up a couple missile depots, and they took over a missile production facility in Syria and blew it up. And wow, the Israelis are really good. But Hezbollah's not stupid. Again, Hezbollah is like Iran; they don't put all their eggs in one basket, and they have significant resources that have been, saved. Israel fooled themselves into believing that Hezbollah was off the map. And now Hezbollah is back. And Iran has eliminated the bulk of Israel's ability to defend itself. And so now Hezbollah is blowing up Haifa. Hezbollah is blowing up Tel Aviv. Hezbollah is blowing up Tel Aviv. That's an amazing thing. And now the Israelis are going to send in 500,000 soldiers into southern Lebanon. I just want people to think about this for a second because maybe you're not familiar with the military. One of the things that we always did in the military before we would do anything, training, war, you do what's called the intelligence preparation of the battlefield, IPB. And one thing you do is you just look at the terrain and see what the terrain tells you, because the terrain's going to tell you a couple things, where you can go and where you can't go. And so we do overlays of go, no go. And suddenly you constrict yourselves to very limited corridors. Now, but you have to also look at what terrain features could dominate these corridors, because as you have the corridors going in, who controls this terrain here can stop the corridor, not just blocking it here, but up here. So the battle starts defining itself. You can tell right off the bat what key terrain is, what the key lines of communication are, and already you can shape the battle, what we're going to need, what the enemy's going to have to do, and all this kind of stuff. If you try and squeeze 500,000 Israeli troops into the battlefield that is southern Lebanon, you're just going to get backed up tanks. Or you're going to get guys on a hillside just providing more targets, A hillside should probably only take, a platoon spread out as they sweep it. That way, if the Hezbollah opens up on fire, they can take out a fire team. The rest of the guys can suppress, bring in artillery, reinforce with another platoon, move in. But if you come in and put a company online, you're going to lose the company in the first thing. All you're doing is creating more targets, more tanks, more concentration of troops. Where are these 500,000 troops going to go as they get caught up in a traffic jam? Because that's what's going to happen. They're going to start snaking their way up to some unnamed southern Lebanese hilltop village. And they're going to go in there and Hezbollah is going to jump up and bam, hit them. And now they're in a firefight. They got wounded Israelis. We got to get them out, but you can't get them out because you got a traffic jam going on. The traffic jam is going to get hit, rockets, burning tanks and everything. They're stuck. And all those troops are going to be in concentration areas. And Hezbollah's got rockets. And they're going to hit the concentration areas and kill these guys. Please, Israel, don't make it 500,000. Make it 1 million. Mobilize every man. Put them all in uniform and send them to Lebanon so they can all die, because that's what's going to happen. Hezbollah is going to kick their ass. Hezbollah is in an existential struggle right now. Hezbollah before never really did the fight to the finish mode because they were also linked to the Lebanese government. Lebanese government's proven itself to be nothing more than a Mossad front. The president and the prime minister work for Mossad. I'll say it again. The president of Lebanon and the prime minister work for Mossad. Now, it could be directly or indirectly, meaning maybe Tom Barak, the American ambassador, is to Turkey, who is now the Lebanese special envoy. He's a front for them. But the bottom line is they don't work for the Lebanese people. Because if they did work for the Lebanese people, they'd have declared war on Israel already for all the bombing that took place in Beirut and elsewhere. No, they work for Mossad. And so now Hezbollah now knows what has to be done. They have to defeat Israel, and they have to defeat the Mossad government in Beirut. And they will, because this is a life and death struggle for people who, as we've talked about, embrace martyrdom, not suicidally, but they're not afraid. All the other people, all those little Israeli boys out there that are getting ready to go into Lebanon, they're scared. They're scared little boys. You see, they're mama's boys. They're the new generation of Israelis. They grew up with mama, and they're so nice, and they know IT. They're very good. They want to create that. Their big thing in life isn't to work on a kibbutz under the sun and get sweaty and hot and muscles. They want to sit in an air-conditioned office and do an IT startup. That's all they want to do. I want to do an IT startup, because what that means is you do nothing, get all the money, because that's what the Israelis are today. They don't work. They're lazy. And so all these little mama boys now are going to be moving towards Lebanon. But when they take off their helmet, there's going to be little Mishva or whatever the fuck their friend name is. And they're going to be looking at her, go, oh, mama and my girlfriend. Oh, I miss them. They're thinking the wrong thing. Hezbollah, meanwhile, is down there, pooping in a bag, burying it, pissing in a cup, burying it, because they're ready. They're not moving. And here they come, and Hezbollah's going to close one and kill them. Hezbollah is sit there and go, oh, no, Fatima. Forget Fatima. Hezbollah's in the business of killing Israelis, and the business is good right now. And the Israelis are going to come in, these little mama boys, and are going up against real men who are in killing mode because they have no choice. Israel and the United States have made this existential. If they defeat Iran, that's the end of Hezbollah. So Hezbollah is fighting literally for their existence. And the Israelis don't know what they're fighting for. They just know that when they go into Lebanon, they get chewed up and they start to hesitate. And when you hesitate in combat, you're dead. Mobilize every Israeli and send them to Lebanon. And then we won't have to worry about Israel anymore. Hezbollah is doing God's work right now because they are excising a cancer. Hezbollah wasn't defeated. Everybody's, they're defeated. They went dormant. Their screen went into, silent mode, went black. But the computer's still there with a hard drive and a CPU and all that kind of stuff. And now they've shook it, the screen's up and running, and the computer's working like a champ. And the Israelis are just getting slaughtered. They're not very good. They have some special forces guys that are good, but what the Israelis are really good at is flying airplanes and dropping bombs and blowing things up. But as Iran showed, you got to blow things up of significance. In Beirut, what's happened is they've run out of significant things to blow up, so now they're back to the Dawa doctrine, holding the population collectively accountable. It's war criminal stuff. Of course, that's what the United States is doing. Pete Hegseth hasn't quite formally announced it that way, but we're in the mode right now of killing Iranian civilians. We are literally shifting over to civilian targets because our goal now is to punish the Iranian people for not rising up and taking down the regime. War criminal activity. So the United States and Israel have self-defined as the worst possible nations in the world today. We're the leading practitioners of war crimes in the world today. And Hezbollah is doing God's work. And I know as an American, I'm not supposed to say this, but since Hezbollah is not formally at war with the United States, I feel comfortable. I want Hezbollah to defeat Israel. I want them to defeat Israel in the most comprehensive way possible so that Israel is lethally damaged. And I want Iran to help them. I want Israel gone. Israel got us in this war. The American people understand that this is not an American war. Donald Trump sold us out for Israel. Pete Hegseth sold us out for Israel. Marco Rubio sold us out for Israel. Everybody in the White House, everybody associated with the Trump administration sold America down the road on behalf of Israel. Ted Cruz did that. Mike Huckabee did that. Every one of them. And we need to know that. We need to know that when we pay the higher gas price, this is because of Israel. Everything is because of Israel. This isn't anti-Semitic. I'm not saying it's because of the Jews. I'm saying it's because of Israel, the Zionist entity called Israel, this parasitic entity that's attached itself to the United States and is sucking the lifeblood out of the United States and the world. Israel. Israel needs to be erased. And hopefully Iran has the eraser to do it. I know Hezbollah does.